This week's episode of Still Untitled is made possible by TripleByte because applying to programming jobs sucks, from endless applications to countless hours of technical screens. With TripleByte, there's a better way. You do one online interview, and then you go straight to the final interviews at hundreds of companies, from tech giants like Dropbox to exciting startups. It's like the common app for software engineers. No resume required. Now, apply now at triplebyte.com/untitled, and if you take a job through TripleByte, they'll offer you a $1,000 signing bonus. TripleByte, BYTE.com/untitled. Now, on with the show.
Welcome
to Still Untitled, the Adam Savage Project. I'm Will.
I'm Adam.
And I'm Norm.
And?
I'm the guest. Ben Acker.
Ben Acker!
Ben Acker of the Thrilling Adventure Hour. And
That's my credits. You don't say
And a
it.
million
other
wonderful
things. Yes.
So much things.
You can follow him on Twitter.
Nope.
No?
BNACKER.
Yeah.
Oh.
He's rebranded.
Oh,
No,
I did
that's
not
what-
realize that.
My email address. Cut this out. Shut this out.
Just start bleeping.
Double it.
It's
Tell them twice. Earthlink.
at Earthlink. I was going to say Yahoo.
Yahoo.
Nah, I got
Hotmail.
the crank on the computer.
It's-
You guys are
452-735
every time
at
you guys
Hotmail.
say it.
It's
I need to
420.
edit that out.
69.
Will, you got to stop right now.
We've just ruined Norm's
Okay,
day.
all right.
We could just start over at this
Welcome,
point.
Ben. You want to start over?
Let's do so Norm doesn't have to edit
Okay.
it 35
It's
times.
more funny if we leave it in.
Well, okay.
Let's leave it in.
Okay. Never mind.
Nobody
Sorry,
email me.
Norm.
Nobody email me.
They had all they heard were the bleeps, except maybe the one I left in.
I don't understand editing.
I was gonna joke about somebody who was doing a bad speech the other day and read a podcast ad during a political speech as part of the March for Life.
What?
Like he's standing on the mall in Washington during doing the March for Life, and then he cuts mid-speech to an ad for Quip toothbrushes, I think.
No.
On stage.
Yes, on stage.
Great toothbrush.
And I was just like, man,
It's
conservatives are so good at everything.
That's right out of Veep.
Yeah, yeah.
Wow.
Anyway, I wasn't going to talk about that.
You could do it in post. You don't got to sell them on the live listeners.
I wasn't going to talk about it, but all I did was say everything about it with no way in and no way out.
I wasn't going to talk about it because I couldn't remember who it was, Ben.
Well, so edit all this out.
Yeah, this is all, just bleep this whole thing.
Well, actually, could you put this before the other stuff and then do the other stuff, and then we'll take it from here?
Ben, you're here because of Sketchfest.
Agree. Strong agree. I was here for the San Francisco Sketchfest, which I love and will come when invited. I did a handful of shows. I read Worst First Chapters in a show called Worst First Chapters, where you read a terrible prose from a book that doesn't exist. It was two great times. I helped Busy Phillips do her Busy Tonight live program.
She's the best.
And then I read two pieces in Rhett Miller's show Wheels Off last night. If you're watching this now, it was last night.
It will go up Tuesday.
Yes.
Oh, so do the
knows?
calendar math. It's
Yeah,
not
several nights ago.
Yeah,
We met, I think, because of Sketchfest.
we did. You hosted the
at
hello
this
party.
very table.
Yeah.
I just remember the first few years of throwing the Sketchfest party. This table was always a very specific Thrilling Adventure Hour crowd.
And then we ratified that friendship at a Wootstock.
We did.
Where you said hello, and I said hello. I said we met at the thing. I have had pizza at your clubhouse, and you said, "Do you want to see the replica of a T-Rex skull I just got?" And I said, "Of course I do." And we were like kids at a slumber party, best friends ever since.
Indeed.
I don't ask you to rank your friends, but I'm your best friend.
You got 12 in your top 10, right?
Yeah, exactly. There's at least 30 movies in my top 5 now.
Fair.
I've expanded.
MySpace rules.
Exactly.
The top 8 is now however many you want,
Exactly.
Pack as many as you can in there.
as long as Tom's number 1.
Last week it was just you and I, Adam. And
It was. We missed Will.
We
Yeah.
promised that we would not go into a full spoiler cast discussion of Into the Spider-Verse until you're here. And we have a bonus now because all 4 of us, I think, have seen Into the Spider-Verse.
It's been like 6 months since I saw it at this point, so things are a little hazy. I remember there's a Spider-Man and there's a pig. That's pretty much what I got left.
Do they have talking animals in this reality?
So, shall we?
Yes,
Should
let's
we?
dive right
You
into
want to
it.
just get right into it?
Before we get into it,
Yeah.
people are just like, oh, come on. I want to talk about this helmet here that's on the table.
Oh, yeah.
Just for a second. Everyone knows that I like space hardware, and I make a lot of replicas of space hardware. I occasionally collect pieces of space hardware. I'm not into spending tons and tons of dough on it, but I recently acquired this piece, which is a real high-pressure helmet from Britain in the 70s. Ooh. It's a high-altitude pressure helmet called a Taylor helmet. I am so psyched to get this in my collection. I believe this is part of the inspiration for the helmet that's in the opening shot of Alien. It's not here because I curated it back into my office at home.
Oh.
Sorry.
But the red mouth flap.
Yes, with this feeding hole here.
That's what it is.
That is. They're hard to find, and Ryan Nagata helped connect me to a collector who connected me to somebody who was selling this.
So what was the helmet? Was it like for the Vulcan or something like that? Some weird
I don't
70s?
know what plane it was for. It was a British, 70s British high-altitude plane. Apparently they cost a fortune, and if you look at the back, and you see how they were tightened onto the
Looks like a fetish wear.
Yeah, no, it's like...
It's also the inspiration for Alien.
Yeah, that's exactly. It looks like a face hugger. Yeah. And it apparently sucked. Like, the pilots hated these helmets.
I can't imagine why.
And it's literally, you dragged this rubber bag and tightened it around your head, and the only pressurized place was this part right around your face.
Have you put it on, Adam?
I have.
How was it?
And then I inhaled some of the the deteriorated powdered lining and took it off immediately and rinsed my face out because I didn't know what asbestosis that I was exposing myself to.
Or who.
Wow. Yeah.
I love that logo, Taylor pressure helmet logo.
Isn't that beautiful?
Pretty good logo.
Great. No, that's a great label. And then there's all this this beautiful handwritten information on the side.
What do you presume that is?
What do you mean?
The handwritten information, are those
mods? I don't know. Mods.
Those
21,
could be
23,
like stuff like that. Sometimes they do regular checks and stuff on, so it could be like
last serviced in the elevator card.
Yeah, or the person who inspected each part.
Yes.
I'm 21, I'm 34, I'm 69, whatever.
There's even a name.
Mods.
No, on the bottom there's
yes.
Steve.
F. Lieutenant Miller.
Oh.
Miller!
First Lieutenant Miller.
First Lieutenant Miller.
Is that,
or F. Lieutenant Miller.
Zip!
Thinks he's so great.
Also, Tom Sachs was in town this weekend.
Tom's
as
great.
Not part of Sketchfest. He and I did a talk with Joseph Becker, the Associate Curator of Architecture at the San Francisco Museum of Modern Art. We did a fog talk down at Fort Mason.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Under the bridge?
No.
In the art center.
In the art center, yeah. There was a big art show there, and it was a fun conversation on stage. It will be broadcast as part of City Arts and Lectures. Tom and I are both participating in a show that MoMA is having this July called Far Out, about spacesuits and HABs in the NASA era and inspiration for our culture in space. That was, of course, really fun. And I got to explain to Tom that I'd actually shot guns in that very building.
Wow.
That when Mythbusters did bullet drop versus fired, we needed a room that was at least 400 feet long, because that's about how long it takes a bullet to leave a gun to actually hit the ground from about hand height.
As we all know.
We all know. And we managed, as a testament to the production team of Mythbusters, we got permission to fire live ammunition in a national landmark by showing them that we had extensive knowledge of how to stop bullets from damaging things.
Yeah, you put all the art where the bullet's going to go, and it stops it.
We
right?
lined the back wall like 4 sheets deep in 3/4 inch plywood, and we had been able to show from old episodes that was more than enough to stop the 9mm rounds we were firing.
Wow.
Yeah,
that's the building Alternative Press Expo used to be in, near the back of Fort Mason.
It's the far right,
and where they have like your craft fairs
okay.
It's a beautiful space.
Yeah.
So that happened.
Cool.
All right, now let's get into the Spider-Verse spoiler cast.
That's the very specific content people are after. Yes. Tell me a story about a building you shot a gun in, and then talk about a movie.
Ben, what we didn't tell you was that today we're actually going to rank all 20 Marvel Universe movies in order, 1 to 20. We're going to pick the best one, and we're going to pick the worst. We're all the ones in between in order. So I hope you're ready for the next 16 hours.
Argument settler.
Yes. This is the
Will
one.
says that they're bracketed by Thor.
Thor on either side.
Incorrect.
Well,
Winter
settle
Soldier.
in, boys.
Winter Soldier.
That's right. I think
Winter
it's
Soldier.
You
Winter
know why
Yeah,
Winter
yeah.
Soldier's disqualified?
Why?
Because it's the best
Because
one.
Robert Redford was nominated for the Nobel Peace Prize and he passed. It's an asinine line. It ruins the whole movie. Pulls the whole thing down to number 2.
I don't understand.
His character.
His
Robert
character
Redford's
was- yeah.
character. When
John
Sam
Redford.
Jackson, Bob Redford, whatever his F his name
Hail
is.
Hydra.
Bobby.
When Sam Jackson is describing what a spectacular person is, he says he passed on the Nobel Peace Prize.
Who does that?
Nobody's going to pass on the Nobel Peace Prize. It's only a Hydra agent would pass on.
No, it's
they should have
happened.
been obvious.
Somebody's passed on the Nobel
Oh,
Peace
and
Prize.
look, they were probably really smarmy about it too. Nobody wants to hear about somebody who passed on the Nobel Peace Prize.
Okay.
Anyway,
Really,
that's my
that's your
argument for
problem
number
with
2.
it.
It's the whole problem.
That's not
Other than that,
enough
it's
of
a perfect
problem.
film.
That's really.
Well, also Scarlett Johansson's hair. Not so good in that one.
All right, to the Spider-Verse.
Yes. Okay. So, I saw this at the Dolby Cinema thing at the Metreon.
I'm not that.
I'm pointing at where the Metreon is. It's over that way.
All right.
Oh, it is over that way. You're right. It's roughly that way.
I always know where the Metreon is. It's my one superpower.
It's your North Star.
Yeah.
That is not. It's a shitty theater to have as your North Star.
The Dolby Cinema.
It's the only
is
one with the real IMAX.
Yeah.
Yeah, Adam,
Yeah.
read a book.
I like the Kabuki. It's a little quieter.
I don't know. It's nice. The seats are comfortable. The booze is okay.
So you saw it twice.
I've only seen it once.
Oh, I thought
Yeah,
you
I
saw
only
it a second
once.
time.
I was going to try to, and I never made it out.
Ah, okay.
But yeah, no, it was. I saw it the opening weekend, and I was just utterly shocked at what I took my kid. I was like, "Oh, let's go see Spider-Man. This will be fun."
How did she like it?
She was blown away. Like there was one scary moment with like the jump scare with the lizard, but other than that, totally acceptable for a 6-year-old.
Yeah.
Who likes Spider-Man? I guess if you don't like Spider-Man,
Who doesn't like Spider-Man?
That's
Green Goblin.
Rhino.
You set him up.
Vulture?
Thank you.
Electro.
Sandman.
When I went, and I don't know if it
Oh,
was
J.
the case.
Jonah Jameson. Can you edit?
Yes, that one first.
J. Jonah Jameson
Yeah.
is a much better answer.
It was J. Jonah Jameson's birthday within the last week. A fictional character's fictional birthday.
You know, I share a birthday with Peter Pan and Dracula.
Really?
Yeah, you all know which fictional characters you've made up that you share a birthday with, right?
Oh, but now I have some work to do.
Is that a Wikipedia thing? Can you find like a certain? Is
No,
it a Wikipedia page?
you assert it, and no one can argue it.
Yes, I guess that's true.
So then you put it on Wikipedia, and then it's fact.
Yeah, you guys are research dudes. I'm a make-em-ups.
I know
Peter
that
Parker's birthday is May 10th.
making up stuff on Wikipedia, I know that there's at least one god that Neil Gaiman made up for American Gods that now has its
Now
own
he's canon?
Wikipedia
Really?
page. Yeah.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
Thus mythology.
Yes. I saw it just last weekend. My wife and I went to see it, and she was like, "All right," and absolutely loved it.
And that's you guys watched in the polar opposites of the release window, right?
Yeah.
Opening weekend,
Closing weekend.
essentially closing weekend. And I bet when you watched it, a lot of kids there. I bet when you watched it, Adam, not a lot of kids there.
Not a lot of kids there, although something happened which really only happens in my experience every couple of years for certain movies, which is that as the movie finished, the whole audience applauded.
We had the same thing.
I'm
People cheered.
always really refreshed when a movie audience is like, "That was so great! I'm gonna clap," even though no one's here to hear it.
Well,
But the point is that it was sold as animated films, for better or worse, are presented as kids' movies in the marketing.
I mean, I think it was PG-13, wasn't it? Or was it just PG?
I believe
I don't know.
PG.
Okay. I mean, it was...
Call in.
Yeah. Don't worry. They'll let us know in the comments. I was really blown away. And she looked over... My 6-year-old was like, "This movie looks really cool, Dad." And she was sitting on the edge of the seat clapping. People were cheering when like different Spider-Mans would appear. When Spider-Gwen popped up for the first time, like the audience blew up. I was really, really surprised. Like it's not a San Francisco movie audiences. I don't know if you've seen a lot of movies here, Ben.
I haven't.
Usually not that vocal. It's
Yeah.
usually a pretty quiet, reserved, and people were really excited when I saw it in the theater. And I don't blame. I mean, I walked out and was like, could have turned around and gone back into the movie again.
It's awesome. I'm dying to see it again.
Ben, we hear you have thoughts.
Yeah, I loved it. It was great. Unreservedly, I love it. I loved everything about it. A couple notes.
I want to hear these notes.
No, like it's.
Where do these notes come from? As a writer, as a comic book fan?
As a guy, I guess as a writer, I guess. As a guy who's more interested in characters interacting than stuff interacting with characters, I guess. Ultimately, like, for me, the most satisfying stuff is I have a point of view, and we are in a thing about it, right? And so it builds to this climax where the Kingpin is punching people, and that's, like, for me, the Kingpin is a character like Don Corleone who's good enough at his thing to not have to punch people. He's got Tombstone. Tombstone's invulnerable. Tombstone is a Wile E. Coyote-ass guy who can take a licking and give it. So, like, at the start, when Kingpin steps on Peter Parker Spider-Man, Chris Pine Spider-Man, it's like, okay, I guess. But you've got your guy who does that. You've got your button man right there. Tell him to do it. Keep your suit clean and go have a nice dinner. And then in the end, have this invulnerable guy fighting all the Spider-Men.
He hates him so much.
I know he hates him so much, and that's fine. And it's character motivated, so I'm cool with it. But the thing that they do, they bring all these Spider-Men to this universe, and then they've got... And I don't want to criticize a movie, and I don't want my criticism to be like, because this is what I'd like to see, but this is what I'd like to see.
That's what a podcast is for,
I
Ben.
know that's what a podcast is for, but being in show business, you're supposed to shut up about it. But so you've got each of these Spider-Men from each of these universes that have phlebotomed their way to this place, which justifies anything from their universe coming into this place, which is why you have trains running on this axis instead of this axis for your big finale. And I think that the only one who has had more unnecessary ham-fisted cameos in Marvel movies than Stan Lee is trains. I didn't like them in Black Panther. I didn't need a train that I have no interest in being part of their finale. And I didn't care about a train. And I get that visually it's great. And it's about visuals. It's a visual medium. It's visual, great. Do it. That's why you do it. It's right. It's technically right. And I'm technically wrong. But if you had a bunch of Ben Schwartz and Tom Middleditch animals from the Porkerverse coming in, and he gets to see his nemesis, and you have a bunch of they set up that this is a Spider-Man noir fights Nazis in the 30s. I want to see 30s Nazis. That's Chekhov's Nazis rule. Right. Nazis. I want to see today the most Nazis getting punched ever. Like, that's what I want. That's what I want to see.
Yeah, like I signed up for 2 hours of Nazis
punched.
getting punched. That sounds
Right?
great.
And so, if the thing of the movie is like, you're not alone, Spider-Man, you come from trauma, but there's a family of us, then if each of their nemesis shows up, like, I'm the one you can never beat, and then they each take a step to the right and beat each other's nemesis because they're family.
But I mean, that doesn't leave any room for the sequel, Ben.
You put it all on the table. At least plenty of room for this. You can have as many trains as you want in the sequel.
Okay.
They used every pirate thing they thought of in Pirates of the Caribbean. They never thought there would be a sequel.
Oh, yeah.
And they put it all on the table, and then they found all this other shit.
And that first movie,
for at least
great.
the second movie,
and the second through 7th or whatever they're on
the
now.
second
they're
is
okay.
not. I like the second movie.
Damn, Ben, now I want to see that movie.
Right?
So
I mean, I
edit all that out, though, because I don't want to say it. Because I love those guys. Like, everybody did the best job. Like, it's not a real criticism, because visual and tight. That's
it's okay
all you want from
being
a finale.
left wanting more.
Well, I was just saying the thing about that movie is you watch it, and the whole time I was watching it in the theater, all I was thinking was, how the hell did they get Sony to make this movie? Like, over and over again, because Sony doesn't take chances like that on movies traditionally.
Right?
It's Miller and Lord, right?
Well, yeah, but still. I mean, they're the 2021 Jump Street.
I think it's because it's animated, because they feel like with animation, the risk is lower.
But then they came back and had to ask for more money at the end, and the whole thing, like, it seemed like a project that would have been killed 10 different times along the way.
It's so novel. It feels so novel. It feels surprising that it got past studio notes.
Regardless of how well it did, they had Venom in their back pocket, and that made hundreds of millions. So they were okay.
I have a few notes.
Is Venom good? I haven't seen Venom.
I did not like it.
Venom could have been an amazing one-act play with Tom Hardy playing Tom Hardy and Venom just standing on a stage talking to himself and been done.
The interesting thing about Venom is they got the hard parts right.
Yeah.
You know, like they justified Eddie Brock in a way that like we don't think of a washed up journalist, right?
Right.
And that's hard. And like we buy this is a guy who cares so passionately about this stuff that if you gave him a symbiote, he would do some shit.
I laughed out loud when they had Venom's motivation.
What?
Venom's motivation on screen. There's a moment. I'm going to go Spider-Verse spoilers.
Okay.
Spider-Man in general spoilers. Venom is a symbiote, and they have a relationship, right, as a character, and you try to define Venom as having its own personality in conflict with Eddie Brock having a personality, and so it gets to a point of why does this Venom character care? Why does Venom character become an anti-hero in this world? And Venom literally says, "Because I'm a loser like you."
And then
that's
the
their
Beck song
motivation.
plays and the credits roll.
Yeah.
So Spider-Verse, like the thing that blew me away about Spider-Verse was how dense it is, how dense the animation is.
Yeah, let's talk good about it before. Like, let's do all the good talk and then edit in my criticism.
All right.
Pepper it in.
I was amazed. So we talked about this last week on the podcast when you weren't here. My son showed me Hassan Minaj's talk show, which
Patriot Act.
What's that?
Patriot Act.
Patriot Act, and it made me feel old because while I appreciate his wonderful charisma and the terrific writing, it just had a tonality and a speed that made me feel ancient because I had no interest in watching that. I get that it's quality, it's just not for my generation, and I was a little afraid of Spider-Verse that it might, because it is at so many times at this frenetic pace that sometimes can initiate that. And yet I also thought there was all this great quietude in it, all these great breaths that gave you time to reset before the next big thing happened.
You know, walking into it, I was like, how do you do? The great thing about Miles Morales' origin in the comics is that Peter Parker Spider-Man is his Uncle Ben. Right? Like he had
that's the
he
lineage,
failed to save Spider-Man.
Right.
And that drives him to understand with great power comes great responsibility, right? And so I'm coming into this movie going, I don't know how you do that.
Right.
And then you build a movie around it, and that's genius and executed perfectly. Like everybody gets to understand it. Here's my question.
Yeah.
I get the sentiment of it could be anyone under that mask, which is what the whole point of that movie is, and that's great.
Yeah.
Is there... It could be anyone under that mask. That version of receiving that, like, it doesn't matter. Cut that out.
No. So this is actually, I've thought about this because I think that is the ultimate lesson of any superhero movie is that the superpower is not what makes them a force. It is their ethos. It is the morality.
Right.
That's what Tony Stark says in Homecoming. If you need the suit, then you don't.
And that's not just anyone. Which I guess is the point of the thing. But literally, it could be anyone under that mask. It's not.
So maybe there's a like Paris Hilton has Spider-Man.
Well, so but here's the like our universe. We don't have a Spider-Man, right?
Right.
So is the one where Peter Parker got killed at the beginning of this one our Spider? Like, you know, there's universe, there's metaverse. Where does this fit in? Is this an MCU movie? Oh, sorry, Ben.
Sorry. Well, I think it covers all. Like, I think that the Peter B. Parker, the
overweight
Dad Bod Spider-Man,
Dad Bod Spider-Man,
claimed to be from the, I want to say 616, which is the regular standard Marvel universe.
Okay.
Oh, okay. I didn't know.
Briefly mentioned.
Okay, I missed that one. So I was
but
never.
There was one in their flashback was the Tobey Maguire.
Yes, Chris Pine Spider-Man was supposed to be the uber Spider-Man, the Spider-Man as we in pop culture understand Spider-Man to be.
Okay. So as a person who's not a huge Spider-Man fan, and I say that meaning I've read like 3 comic book arcs and mostly watched movies and the 70s TV show, what like are all those real Spider-Men? Did they do comics for all those Spider? I know Spider-Gwen's real.
One, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Really, the post-credits one's from the TV show, right?
I didn't see the post-credits. Can we call it up?
Oh.
No, I didn't.
There was a post-credit scene.
I know that
there
there
are
was.
two
I found out
post-credits.
that there was.
Yeah, and
Two?
Yeah. Yeah. There's
They're
a mid-credits and a
mad
post.
with power now.
Yeah. Post-credits was a play on the Spider-Man pointing at Spider-Man meme, from the cartoon.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And also bringing in Spider-Man 2099.
Oh,
Yeah.
smart. Who played him?
I believe it was Oscar Isaac.
Oh.
He is-
Nice.
And that was appropriate casting.
Yeah.
And yeah. Going back to the idea that anyone can be Spider-Man, it's totally a trope in Spider-Man films specifically, with the kid, the fan of Spider-Man, wearing the janky Spider-Man costume, right? And isn't that like the manifestation of anyone can be Spider-Man, right?
Right. I'm just saying, doesn't that
Doesn't it
just
cheapen the
anyone.
brand?
Not cheapen the brand, but like, doesn't it say that it shouldn't it say that it takes more than just putting on a costume to be a thing?
I think that's implied.
I feel like
And
that's
that's
implied.
It's
That's
implied.
implied.
It's just the phrasing. It's
The,
just
li-
the
the,
phrasing.
the literal anyone can be Spider-Man. It's not like the mob of Spider-Man. Like we are Spider-Man. I am Spider-Man. They're not doing Spartacus here,
When,
right?
when
What's on
Nancy
Dark Knight
Reagan
Rises?
came
Yeah.
out with "Just Say No," we chose to interpret it as "Just say no."
Just say no. Would you like some drugs? No.
No,
There is subtext in there.
Yeah.
there is some subject.
Right.
So
That's why I cut that all out. No, you know what? Keep the parts where I sound great.
Okay,
So that's what we always do. One of the things I loved was how they pulled each character's unique design popped up when they were getting screen time in terms of the environments and stuff too. Like it seemed like when you saw, was it Nick Cage with Spider-Man Noir?
Yeah.
Good God, he had 4 lines and each of them was a banger. But
A real bump.
yeah, but they pulled like they changed the back. The movie looked like a comic book in motion.
Yeah.
To the point that they had like stippled and it looked like newsprint in some cases. It was unbelievable, and they pulled each of the individual character designs into that. So
they also were playing around with what felt like. So there were times I thought I was watching a 3D movie without glasses.
Yes.
especially that final fight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I saw a guy get into it with the ticket taker after.
Oh, really?
You sent me into a three. Oh, I'm sorry. We should have started with where I saw the movie. I saw it at the Grove Theaters in Los Angeles with a grown-up adult named Humphrey Carr.
Okay.
And so coming out of it, this guy was like, "You sent me into a 3D picture without the glasses." And the ticket taker was just like, "Yeah, okay.
Imagine that though.
Here's some glasses. Go in."
If
to
you
this
could watch
non-3D.
a movie that would work without glasses and with glasses, that would be a technical achievement.
True.
It would.
It's the first movie in a really long time I walked out of was like, man, I kind of wish I'd seen that in 3D.
I don't think you needed it.
None of us have seen it in 3D.
No,
I don't think
it
it
is.
is.
It is.
in 3D?
It is in
It's in
3D.
3D.
I hear it is a wonder. Like I hear it's the best one.
Like that final,
Oh, wow.
that final
Okay.
fight sequence seemed like it was made specifically to make 3D look. Instead of focusing on character development and things like that, they just made a really, really gorgeous 3D fight scene.
Which is right. Which is the right thing to do. Good job, you guys.
I mean, animated films like that, where you're talking about in the discrete layers and not necessarily like cinematic effects, like depth of field, can work better in 3D because you don't have to. You don't have convergence problems.
Yeah, you avoid all of the problems of taking 2 cameras and putting them side by side. Yeah.
What else they did that was good from comics is the way that they told all their origins. Like, here's me, I'm this Spider-Man, and then 20 seconds, right?
Well, and each one got shorter than the one before.
Right. But like, if you open a comic book, that first page, you have a paragraph or 2 that is the origin of the character as much as you need to know for this story.
Right.
You could always just, we don't need more origin stories. I think that's well covered.
Yeah.
I mean,
I
I don't know.
didn't think
Why
about
does
that.
what's Peter Parker's real motivation? I don't understand.
And Ben, you're talking about a comic book publishing technique that was like in the 90s and 80s,
And now.
and
today.
and because people they need new readers, right? This is
Right.
and
But it's the easiest way to go, what's the thing of this?
right.
This is that guy, bit by a spider, uncle died, great responsibility. And when last we left our hero.
Yeah.
So
Right,
you can just
right.
start the thing with the story that you're telling. And they did that. And they used it and they tweaked it and they used every part of that buffalo.
Well, they made it a bit. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was really good. Joe Rowling does a good job in the Harry Potter books with each of those. Because
Joe.
JK, sorry.
My friend Joe.
I
does a
follow her
great
on
job.
Twitter, so we're friends.
J. Rowell.
She
Jake-
tweeted.
yeah.
She tweeted back and forth with me once.
Oh. But no, like each of those Harry Potter books, she has to explain, hey, he was mistreated by the cousins, his parents were magic, killed by the bad guy.
Oh,
Sure.
right.
And it goes as if everybody didn't read every one of those books that came before.
Well, when you read Harry Potter, you want to start with 3.
you
We'll get
like
back to
you
one.
like
We'll get back to
the
one.
slash order, not the
Yeah.
cuts order. Wow, bold.
Before we continue with the conversation, I want to let you know that this episode of Still Untitled is also made possible by LinkedIn. The right hire can make a huge impact on your business. That's why it's so important to find the right person. Working with the right people here at Tested is what makes this job so awesome. Where do you find that individual? You could post a job on a job board and hope the right person will find your job, but why leave it up to chance? Instead of posting on job boards, post your job to a place where people go to every day to make connections, grow in their careers, and discover job opportunities. That's LinkedIn. Most LinkedIn members haven't recently visited the top job boards, but 9 out of 10 members are open to new opportunities. With 70% of the US workforce on LinkedIn, it's the best way to get your job opportunity in front of more people and more of the right people. People who are qualified for your role and ready for something new. It's the best way to find the person who will help you grow your business, and that's why a new hire is made every 10 seconds using LinkedIn. Hurry to linkedin.com/untitled and get $50 off your first job post. That's linkedin.com/untitled to get $50 off your first job post. linkedin.com/untitled. Terms and conditions apply. Now back to the conversation.
But yeah, back to the Spider-Verse, I guess.
Back to the Spider-Verse, I guess. Is there any inkling of what those guys might tackle next? Because the idea that this could have a follow-up is really exciting.
They've already talked about it. A sequel is in the works, plus I think at least 2 spin-offs, a Spider-Gwen spin-off. And they are talking about, I believe, Spider-Ham having maybe like a TV show or something.
They better. I mean, John Mulaney's the funniest human.
God.
Oh, yeah.
And 4 lines. He had 4 lines.
Oh, this fits in your pocket.
Yep.
The hammer.
That's
Did
all,
you see
folks.
him on Fallon?
No.
Talking about this role and how he was hired for the role.
And he did not know.
They did not know.
exactly he didn't know what he was signing on for.
Well, they
They were like, feel free to improvise. And so, I mean, you can YouTube up the clip.
Yeah.
But if you're just watching this and this is all you see about Spider-Verse,
People are probably in the car.
He's like, hey, go fuck yourself, Green Lantern. Just shove it up your ass. Take that and shove it in your ass. Stick it in your dick and open it like an umbrella, you bag of shit. And they're like, okay.
glad you got that out of your system. Now let's go
Nailed
for the
it.
real line.
It's a kid's movie. Like, oh, so you're not going to use any of that.
I think the same with Nick Cage. They let a lot of the actors improv a bit, and then for him, he did some bits, and because he was doing like 20s talk, they didn't know if some of the slang was real slang or not, and one of the bits wasn't real slang. It was just like a sex act. But no, it didn't make it in the film. They cut it.
okay.
But like in reviewing the dailies.
Not to plug my business, but I wrote a Deadpool annual once where Deadpool was giving Luke Cage crap about how many superhero names sounded like sex acts.
Shocker.
Iron Fist. Purple Man.
Power Man.
Oh, yeah, Power Man and Iron Fist. Top of the list.
Yeah.
Juggernaut.
Try and think of anything else.
Yeah.
Green Goblin. Hobgoblin.
So there were 2 things that kind of surprised me. One is that they managed to go the whole movie without doing a Joss Whedon style, like clever, just superheroes sitting around being clever at each other, which was kind of pleasant. Like I like those most of the time, but usually they don't. It didn't seem like it would be right for that movie.
Well, there was a little. Can he say that legally? I mean, there was some breaking of the fourth wall on that front, which I enjoyed.
I don't mind that.
How do you mean?
Yeah.
When the pig says "That's all, folks," and you hear someone go, "Can he really say that?" legally?
But Will, I think you're talking about almost like a Kevin Smith, Joss Whedon, like let the characters
like just
Digression.
one up each other, and yeah.
Yeah, like the Thor scene, the hammer scene in Age of Ultron is the one I'm thinking about specifically.
Oh, right, okay.
But you know the there's any number of those kind of witty bon mots that go back and forth like 4 lines too long. And then the scene with the roommate when they're in Miles Morales' dorm room is some like straight up 30s style silent movie physical comedy genius.
So much fun and
that's so good.
I think it was Jeff Parker, and I'm bad at citing sources, but I think it was he tweeted a thing about when he writes Spider-Man. And has he written Spider-Man? I don't know. But the idea that if there's a crowd scene and Spider-Man's in it and he's standing on the ground, do it again and have him at an angle. Like, that's the perk of this character visually, that he should never just be like as Spider-Man standing on the ground with everybody else.
That's why Spider-Man in Central Park doesn't work. Right. You need the skyscrapers. You need...
Oh, yeah.
You need something to swing off of and something to perch on.
Yeah. Which, the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man movie, the poster was him just standing over the city, and I was like...
Wasn't he on the...
3 steps forward.
Trade Center or something? Or it was in the background?
Soon. Yeah.
Yeah, I couldn't remember.
I think.
The movement... Like, the thing that this got is how fast and nimble and kind of puny Spider-Man always gets up. We know that. But, like... He's fragile in a way that you don't appreciate in most of the Spider-Man movies and the other things. Like you feel bad when Spider-Man gets punched in this movie.
Yes,
which was nice.
I mean, it's testament to the animation, the animators.
Yeah.
Specifically about that dorm room scene. I think the animator who worked on that scene specifically shared some storyboards of what that scene looked like when it was presented to him. And originally they were not grouped together like they are in the final scene, and it was working with the animation supervisor that they decided, hey, it would be really cool to group them together so they look like a spider, like together, the silhouette of a spider. And then that scene took weeks or months to animate.
And it was Mary Tyler Moore ending, right? They all hug and then they go to the
Wave told me, our friend of the site, Wave, told me once about
Spider-Man villain name.
It's a pretty good Spider-Man. Yeah, he's the water guy.
Dr. Wave.
Yeah, they're missing one. Yes, Dr. Wave. Sorry. He told me about the time a friend of his was like, "Hey, you need to go see this movie Akira. It's a $2 billion live action movie that's animated." And that was the feeling I had walking out of this movie. Like this movie is a movie that is going to change the way people approach animation just because of the way. It's astounding how it was shot.
Didn't they invent new do ways to animate? Didn't they patent?
They're trying to patent, and I don't know if it's invented, but they were probably the first to go do an extra pass of hand-drawn pass, right? And,
on top?
And on top, with almost every frame, they mix
so make
animation.
sure no one else ever does that.
Yeah, I know. Mixing 2s and 4s, right? So some of the animation was a little more staccato. It's the animation equivalent of cranking up the shutter. And it made a lot of the action look extra jumpy and bouncy.
It's unbelievable.
I want more. I want more of exactly that.
Yeah.
The whole movie, I was trying to place the voice of Dr. Octopus.
Olivia.
Yeah, Liv.
Liv. That was a cool.
I was like, I know that voice.
Who was it?
Catherine Hahn.
Catherine Hahn. Who's?
Did you watch Parks and Rec?
No.
Okay, hold on. What are you doing? It's the best.
I've never gotten around to it. I'm sorry. I know.
What do you do with your time?
oh boy.
Norm can tell you in really great detail. Here's a spreadsheet.
It's great. She what else?
Well, I think she's recently she's in a big car commercial. She's spoken.
That's her. Parks and Rec in a car commercial. She's great.
Cool. Got it.
She's hilarious.
Yeah, she's hilarious. She came from Indy and now she's in the Spider-Verse.
All right.
There's so much to talk about potentially.
I really wish I had seen this less than a month ago. I can't remember it. I remember walking out thinking, "Oh God, there's 20 things I want to talk about."
Okay. No. Yep. I'd like to move on to just talk about something else I watched this week.
Okay.
That I hated.
Oh, great.
Is that okay?
People love that.
People you're in the industry, man. You know how hard it is to make a thing, and just
you're right.
respect.
You're right.
But please do it.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, Adam's garbage this week segment.
We'll cut it out.
I saw a show called You. It's on Netflix. And it seems to be about a stalker serial killer who's highly intelligent, stalking a complicated young woman.
Gross.
Yeah. And it's got
88%
88% on Rotten Tomatoes. It's universal. I went and looked at it, and it seems to be really highly loved. And I found it really upsetting and creepy and not fun to watch.
I mean, that was intentional, though, that it's upsetting and creepy because it's about a
Yes,
stalker.
no, clearly, it's I don't know. I found it really problematic.
This is why I don't watch real crime, true crime stuff, Adam.
No, really.
Yeah, it creeps me out.
It's not true, right? It's
No.
No,
I
it's
don't
not
think
true.
it's
It's
true.
not true. But like, if it feels too true, I don't. It just,
But I don't mind the
Yeah.
Americans. I don't like know.
But that feels like a cartoon almost. Like
because they went over every shot and
and
hand
through the whole thing. Yeah, Carrie Russell.
The rotoscoping is my favorite part of
all the
the
wigs.
Americans.
All the wigs. Yeah. You were saying, Ben, you like it's shows that you like.
Yes.
Sex education.
Yeah, but I'd rather talk about Patriot. Have you guys talked about Patriot?
No, and I still haven't watched it.
Is Patriot the thing on Amazon?
Amazon Prime.
I haven't watched it.
What is it?
My God, you guys, it's the
Look,
best.
there's too much TV now, Ben.
Don't come crying to me.
Yeah, I know, but like, what,
It's
what
so
Tell me,
true.
give the log line.
Okay, so it's a spy show where in a normal spy genre thing, when the spy gets spy and he would get cool and glib and one-linery and badass.
Mm-hmm.
This spy is capable. He knows the job. He's good at it. But every complication is another ulcer in his tum.
So he's like Tony Shalhoub as the spy, as James Bond.
No, he's pretty. He's an Australian actor.
Okay.
But he has a cover job at a piping factory.
Huh.
And he's got a mission, and everything gets junked up because people gonna people.
Yeah.
And so you watch the second season just dropped last month on Amazon Prime, but you watch in the first season, a guy's eyes get bigger and bigger and his mouth gets smaller and smaller. It's just the weight of the world is just crushing, and it's the images are composed and beautiful. People have said it's like Wes Anderson directing Ian Fleming.
Oh wow!
And,
Oh,
and
there
that's
you
a
go.
little.
That's
It's
it.
a little.
Yeah.
That would sell.
You could have said that.
But I feel like that's inapt because it is not twee and it is not Brit poppy.
Right.
When we meet the character, he's in Amsterdam having just had a mission go bad because people gonna people, and he's reaching new heights in his hobby, which is folk music. The reason he's reaching new heights is because he's got new levels of honesty in it. He's singing government secrets in a park.
Wow.
And he's got to come out.
I'm
So
dying to watch
It's
this.
so intricate.
you've convinced me,
There's
yeah.
it takes place a lot in Frankfurt the first season, and so there is a lot of subtitles, and the scenes that aren't subtitled require the same amount of attention.
Ooh.
It's great.
Wow.
Yeah.
Patriot.
It's on my list. I really want to watch that.
All right. I am rewatching Going Through the Americans. And
You made it past the
I
suitcase?
started the first season again the other day after we talked about it last week. So I'm gonna go finish this.
And
now.
yes, made it past the suitcase, which is season 3, episode 2, I believe.
Yep.
And so we're in the middle of season 3 right now.
Can
We've
I say
talked
what
about
a-
it extensively.
Can I say what a crime it is that Kerry Russell never won an Emmy for that
Yes.
role? And Matthew Rhys did, and he's wonderful, and so is she. Like, she's incredible in that show. We've talked about it on the podcast. It's such a shame she did not get an Emmy for that.
In rewatching it, it made me realize I forgot that so much of you remember, of course, things like the suitcase. You remember all the crazy, kind of like grotesque spy stuff they have to do that you previously haven't seen on a spy show on basic cable. But really, it's because of their marriage and their partnership. That's the driving force of the show.
Yeah.
And it's hilarious that it's about them not being able to communicate. Like the whole show, the conflict isn't the tension of whether they can get the spy thing right. It's that whether they're going to be together.
Yeah.
I love when there's like a clean, sublime. Oh, of course that's a thing. The Shield was sold to me. It's the villain thinks he's the hero.
Right.
Like just like
Yeah.
Of course. How is that not like the last season of the OC? It was the back half of it was the best sitcom of all time because it was here's two couples that love each other. Each of the members of the couple love each other, but they don't like each other. Like, how is not every show this thing where the comedy comes from such a character place where it's like, I can't live without you, but I can't live with you.
And that's exactly where this is.
Oh, the Americans,
It's
I mean-
about a marriage that's a great partnership, but not a great marriage.
It's a really amazing meditation on relationships. It's fantastic.
I'll watch
All
it.
right.
Okay. Yeah, I think that does it for us.
I have one thing I want
Yep,
to
yep.
address. A couple weeks ago, we talked about the documentary, Free Solo, and also Meru.
Yes.
About rock climbing.
Both
And,
amazing.
We talked about the directors of the film, one of whom is Jimmy Chin, and then the other director is Ichai Vasarely, who is his wife, but we only refer to her as Jimmy Chin's wife, and so I apologize.
Messed up.
She is also accomplished director, producer in her own right, and so I want to give her credit for that.
Absolutely.
Anything coming up? Adam, what do you have anything going on right now? Is there anything on TV
I'm
or
in
anything?
production on a new show. We will announce it in February, I believe. I am finishing edits on a galley of my book, Every Tool's a Hammer. Those are the two main things.
Well, Mythbusters Jr. is on the Science Channel on
Mythbusters
Wednesday
Jr.
at 9
is
p.m.
currently in its just aired its third episode on the Science Channel. Fourth episode coming up next week. I believe there might be. I'm not sure if I can announce that. Anyway, it is airing right now, and the public response to it and the private response have both been amazing. It is really exciting to hear what the world thinks about this show that I'm so proud of and these kids that I love so much. That's really exciting.
Ben, what else you got going on?
Yeah.
Oh, thank you for asking. If it's time for plugs, I'd like to point everyone to a webcomic that I'm doing called Kid Midnight at kidmidnightcomic.com. And what it is, it's the autobiographical webcomic of a teen sidekick.
Okay.
So it's a Batman and Robin story from Robin's point of view, and Robin's Kid Midnight is his name, and he sidekicks for the Raven, who says to crime nevermore. And his thing is he started this his autobio webcomic because in a couple of years he's going to have to decide whether to put on the mantle and fight crime or go to art school, and he's freaking out. And it started as that. Like, it started as a artist friend of mine, Natalie Norrigat, drew fan art of Robin, and it looked out of her autobiographical comic from her time in college between gears. And I was like, man, I would read the hell out of Robin's autobio comic. And she said, me too. Too bad DC probably wouldn't go for it. And I was like, well, I have a sideways version of Robin. What do you think? And we started it there. And then another friend of mine who's coincidentally named Robin was tweeting about adoptee representation in the world. And it occurred to me that I hadn't given it due consideration. And I asked Robin, do you mind if I talk to you about this? Because I don't want to do this poorly. And it informed everything. And now it's about so much more than I set out to do. And I feel like it's because of that, because of this, it's not one-to-one with me, but I know the stuff to be true. It's some of my most, I feel like, mature writing I've ever done. I'm excited by it constantly.
Where can people find it?
KidMidnightComic.com. There is Kid Midnight, and the number 1 is the Twitter handle. I wish I'd brought it up sooner because, like, there's great stuff in the Spider-Verse movie that I was like, yeah, same. Like, have it be about, like, the relationship he had with his dad.
Yeah.
Like, that's a thing I'm doing in the comic, is making the father figure as good at being a parent as he is at being a Batman. Like, what does that look like? What if it's not a dysfunctional?
We've never seen that.
That's really cool.
And so finding out from my friend, from Person Robin, like, what is the ideal version of this, and let me have that be this, so that the thesis and Natalie, I when I put it out in the world, it's a webcomic, so you don't do a full publicity press. It grows, and now there's probably about 50 pages up that you can go and see. But I was like, it's a autobio webcomic of a teen sidekick, and she went, superheroes and feels, and it's like, yeah, it's that. And the thing that, like, the broader, whatever, the like lofty ambition of it is the idea that a comic book, a superhero story, tells you these points in the thing. This is what's relevant in the emotional life of the character as manifests in the villain fight, right? Like, this is to take that and go, but it's a web comic, so it's all the small moments.
Right.
And so what does heroism look like in your day-to-day? And it's setting aside your stuff to be in service to others. And so there's, like, a real warm, connective thing between all these characters. They don't know, because they're in it, what necessarily their trauma is and looks like, but they know that they love their friends and their family. So it's so much fun to write.
That's what a
sounds
lovely,
lovely, yeah.
lovely thing.
Thanks, man.
Cool.
Well, thank you so much.
Yeah,
Also, too many trains in that one movie.
look, the train was the real villain in Black
Well,
Panther.
the train is the friends we made along the way.
Also, regarding your saying yes, it's really hard to make a thing. I totally appreciate that. I was discussing things I didn't like about Zack Snyder last week, and I did include the caveat that he's directed a bunch of movies which I have not, and I don't have any idea how hard that is for a person to do, and I respect that he has achieved that. And so you're right. That is these are people trying to make good things,
Right.
even if they don't resonate with us.
Nobody
but if your
sets out.
Superman don't smile, it ain't Superman.
But I mean, we've said this a lot. Nobody's like 400 people work on a film. Nobody sets out to make a bad
No.
film. It just happens.
Wait, speaking of Superman never smiling, have you seen the trailer for James Gunn's new project?
Yeah.
No, it's
Okay. It's a Kansas couple can't have a child. A child lands
What an amazing
in their
coincidence.
yard and has superpowers, and turns out in the trailer at least to seem to be a psychopathic killer.
it's written by Mark Miller or something.
It's like Jason Voorhees Superman.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Have any of you seen Glass? By the way,
No.
So I had multiple people tell me that the James McAvoy movie Split is spectacular,
Yeah.
and
It looks upsetting, and I
mean maybe yeah, but anyway okay, never mind. To be continued later.
This is the third film in M. Night Shyamalan's Unbreakable Split and Glass. Right.
like, yeah, weird superhero
With Bruce Willis and
universe.
Samuel Jackson.
Tired Bruce
together
Willis and
again.
Sam Jackson. Yeah, I don't know. Okay, never
Maybe
mind.
we'll watch it. Maybe we'll talk
You
about
should
it.
cut that part out, Norm.
No, I refuse. And with that, the
You
podcast
should open
ends.
with that. Mhm.
See y'all next week.
Bye, guys.
See you in hell.
Thanks for listening this week. And once again, this episode was made possible by Triple Byte. Applying to programming jobs, sucks. From endless applications to countless hours of technical screens, with Triple Byte, there's a better way. You do just one online interview, then you get to go straight to final interviews at hundreds of companies, from tech giants like Dropbox to exciting startups. It's like the common app for software engineers. No resume needed. Apply now at triplebyte.com/untitled. And if you take a job through Triple Byte, they'll offer you a $1,000 signing bonus. Triple Byte, BYTE.com/untitled. We'll see you next week.